What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Kojo, your Hollywood mental health expert. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 common vices that neurodivergent individuals tend to rely on. So number 1, alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and just get straight into the video. Alcohol is something that a lot of us use to feel loose, to feel good, to allow us to be social. But one thing that I realized is that with a lot of individuals who tend to, self-medicate with alcohol and who tend to be a bit more anxious. And keep in mind, anxiety is a part of that neurodivergent, being. Anxiety and trauma. It's a common denominator. I'm not saying that every neurodivergent person has anxiety and or trauma, but the majority of the neurodivergent individuals that I know personally in the clinic, there's some component of anxiety and or trauma there. You have to understand that when it comes to alcohol, it works similar to how the benzos work. So the Klonopin, the Xanax, the Valiums, they work similar to how alcohol works. And what do those meds do? They help you relax, they help you feel good. You're loose as a goose, you're at the party, you're splitting your arms, you're having a good time, you're vibing, right? You're vibing. So what happens with neurodivergent individuals is that the studies seem to, support this, especially when you're undiagnosed and you don't know what's going on. The likelihood of resorting to something like alcohol is fairly high, especially when you're somebody who's had to mask to get through life. And when you're, when you're a little bit tipsy here and there, you don't have to mask as much because now, and a lot of neurodivergent individuals, especially a lot of autistic individuals, if you look in the comment section and also in the clinic, I've heard them say things like, when I drink, I feel like I'm normal. I feel like I can actually talk to people. And it gets bad, in my opinion, when the only way you can be social is by having to have a drink or two beforehand. Because when it gets to that point, then alcohol becomes a part of your everyday life. So I think it's important to understand that alcohol, it's legal, it's here. Is it the best thing? Not really. Is it my favorite thing? Not really. But this is a vice that a lot of neurodivergent individuals, especially when undiagnosed, tend to rely on. And once you find out that alcohol can make you, be relaxed, the chances are you'll keep going back to it in social situations. And then before you know it, then you have a glass of wine before you go to bed, and then you're drinking every weekend. It can spiral. So I just want you all to, if alcohol is a big part of your life, don't freak out. Don't feel any sort of way. Just understand that this is advice that a lot of neurodivergent individuals tend to, rely on. So if you're able to cut back gradually, give yourself a big clap. You get a love of the show if you can scale back on the alcohol. And I also want to mention that if you're addicted to alcohol and like you're an alcoholic and you have a real problem and it's a huge part of your life, I would definitely say don't detox on your own. It can be life-threatening to detox on your own. So please seek professional help, medical services. You may have to go to a detox center, so on and so forth, but I just had to throw that in there. The second vice that a lot of neurodivergent individuals tend to rely on is Mary Jane, the devil's lettuce. I have to call it that because I don't know what the YouTube's policies are, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Mary Jane, and it's another substance, and this is not legal in all of the states. Here in California, it's legal. In my home state of Georgia, it's not. And I think Missouri legalized it. A couple of different states have they've started to legalize Mary Jane, and there are some therapeutic benefits to it. I will say that, but it's not harmless. A lot of people think that it's harmless and that they'll say it's not as bad as alcohol. If we're honest, that's probably right. But I know so many people who start using before their brain is fully formed. And when you start, smoking before your brain is fully formed, you put yourself at risk for a lowered IQ, thought disorders like schizophrenia. It impairs your cognition, your memory is all over the place. And these things can impact you, later in life. And obviously, like when you get high, like you feel good, you feel giggly, and It also helps you like loosen up. So now you don't feel as odd. You don't feel like an outsider because you're able to, you're able to kind of fit in, with the crowd. You don't have that mask as much, and you feel like you're one of them. You're a part of the people. And keep in mind that attention is a human need. All of us need attention in some form, in some capacity, some way, somehow we need attention. So when you are a part of a group and you're smoking with the guys, smoking with the girls, or you're just loose and you're laughing, you're having a good time, these are some of the moments, these are some of the best moments for neurodivergent individuals because you're not all in your head. You're not worrying about how people are perceiving you. You're not, burnt out. You're actually, for the first time in your life, sometimes feeling like you're a part of something because you're around people. They seem to enjoy you. You seem to enjoy them. Now, y'all are high, but you have this community around you, and it can be very lonely when you're neurodivergent. So a lot of us tend to, rely on that Mary Jane. And, I've talked about, my issues with it personally. And I even, on the live stream, I was talking about how one time I was at a dispensary and I saw one of my followers and he wanted to have a conversation. And I was like, I was embarrassed that, he saw me at the dispo. I'm like, anywhere else, but at a random dispo in North Hollywood, he saw me. He was like, "Oh, I love your videos. Thank you for posting about mental health." And in my head, all I can think about is, "Oh, I hope this guy doesn't tell the world that he saw me at a dispensary." For me, Mary Jane was able to help me sleep and, also help me feel loose. And I was feeling good. But for what I want to achieve in life, to be a mental health champion for you all, I have to take care of myself. I'm working on the comedy, skits, looking to do a sitcom here in LA. So I have all these goals and plans and dreams. I got big dreams. So Mary Jane is probably not the best thing for me. And it took me a while to realize that. But it's something that a lot of neurodivergent people tend to rely on. If you look at the studies, individuals with ADHD are 3 times more likely to use cannabis as opposed to neurotypical people. When you look at the studies with autistic individuals, it reads about just the same. The over-reliance on Mary Jane is huge. And a lot of people who consider themselves to be potheads and, like that's their personality, and they just smoke a lot, chain smoking, like back to back, one joint, one blunt, one joint, one blunt. A lot of times when they finally get the chance to see a professional like me, and they get a psychiatric evaluation and a workup, they tend to realize that they're neurodivergent, that they have ADHD, that they may be autistic, and then it starts to make sense because that's why they were using so much, because it was helping them like quiet their thoughts, it was helping with their depression, it was helping them get to sleep. So this is something that a lot of neurodivergent individuals tend to rely on, and you can make an argument that anything in moderation is okay. The only thing I will say is, if you're somebody who you're going to use Mary Jane, it's better when you start, after 26, 27, like after your brain is formed, you're able to withstand the cognitive negative effects of Mary Jane more than somebody who started at 12, 13. But then at the same time, like let's say you have ADHD, our frontal lobe when you have ADHD tends to develop a little bit later in life. So, your brain might finish forming at, 27, 28, 29, 30. I can't tell y'all whether to use or to not use, but I post the content about the tea breaks, and at the very least, I think a tea break, when people take tea breaks, they tend to reassess things and see whether this substance belongs in your life. If it doesn't, so it's just something to keep an eye on. But the third advice that neurodivergent individuals tend to rely on is the Mickey Ficky, or sex, right? I like to say Mickey Ficky. And Mickey Ficky can be used interchangeably with a lot of different things, but the good old Mickey Ficky, and sex is a human need, obviously. It's one of the best parts about life. And I think neurodivergent individuals tend to rely on this a lot because this is another way that you get to experience attention, because now, what's more intimate than being with somebody, right? The good old Mickey Ficky. And this can be detrimental, for obvious reasons. A lot of times when, let's say, you meet somebody brand new and you're neurodivergent, there's just, likelihood of locking in on them and they become a hyperfixation. And if they're just as obsessed with you as you are with them, great. It's great. So if y'all are both, let's say, like hypersexual, cool, it's great. But sometimes, the hypersexuality can manifest, especially when you throw in substances. It can manifest in ways that can be detrimental to your life. So I'm not telling y'all to just go straight celibate. You might want that Mickey Ficky or that hawk tour, like everybody wants to, like sex is a big part of life. But it tends to be a vice that a lot of neurodivergent individuals, use to kind of get through life. And, then you have to sit back after, let's say you've had, just an era or a period of hypersexuality. A lot of times when you're neurodivergent, you sit back and you think about, your escapades or all those encounters. And you have to ask yourself, how many of those hookups, how many of those situations were things that I actually wanted to do? And if you go through this thought process, you'll come to find out that it wasn't everybody that you hooked up with that you wanted to hook up with. It wasn't everybody that you made out with that you wanted to make out with. And sometimes you feel like you're horny. And I say it all the time as a joke, but it's kind of true. Sometimes when you're horny, you think that you need that Mickey Ficky to hook up with somebody. But what you might really need is just a hug. What you might need is just, attention in a non-sexual way to satisfy a need that we have. And when anything that we, do at an excessive level, can be very detrimental to us. But, when you think about sex, you have to take into account that there's many factors to it. It can lead to life. You can have a kid. It can lead to STDs. It can lead to emotional disturbances. It's very complicated, and it's something that when, sex is done in a consensual way, both parties and everybody is happy and, we're on the same page, it's good. We're vibing. We're okay, right? Now, when it's something that you've leaned too much into or you're using it as a way to escape your problems, now it becomes detrimental. And a lot of us who are neurodivergent will use sex as a way to escape our problems. And the worst thing about this is not really the sex, it's the fact that, after you've done the Mickey Ficky, the problems are still there. So whatever you were escaping, because you went around it instead of going through it, you go have, a little bit of fun, a little bit of Mickey Ficky here and there. But guess what? At the end of that, you still have to come back around and face the problems that you were trying to avoid. And a lot of problems that we have in our life, the longer we delay it, the longer that we don't pay attention to it, the more pain we have to deal with when we do sit down and we're like, all right, it's time to finally address this issue head on. So, like I said, alcohol, Mary Jane, the Mickey Ficky, these are all things that have been put in our life to, help make our experience here more enjoyable. I say, use these things in moderation. And with alcohol, sometimes I'm like, I just don't know why people drink it, because I won't go into that tangent. But, these vices are all things that, or these things, because I don't want to call them a vice, they're things that can become vices. But these things are all things that we have here at our disposal, and, we want to use these things judiciously and take our time. But when you're neurodivergent, these are things that you may tend to overdo. And when you overdo things like alcohol and Mary Jane and sex, it can lead to painful consequences, which can, have you reeling, and you have to fix up the new problems. And on top of that, you still got to go back and take care of the old problems. And it makes things very confusing. So these are three vices that neurodivergent individuals tend to rely on. I think that's how I'll title this video, because that's how I'm feeling at the moment. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, use the comment section to, let me know your thoughts about it. A lot of times, people like to share their personal stories in the comment section. I do my best to read as many comments as possible. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you all, and also the comment section that lets me know what else to post about when it comes to these long form videos. We're still going to keep the shorts coming. Like I said, we're getting closer to 200K on YouTube, and I'm very grateful for this community. YouTube was the first platform that I really tried to do back in 2017 when I first started posting on the internet. And we finally made some progress. And I'm very excited to be a part of this community. So I just want to say thank you for your attention. If you made it this far in the video, you were clearly interested in this topic. So I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. So like, comment, subscribe, whatever they say at the end of these videos. But like I always say at the end of these videos, a lot of people care about you, and I'm one of them. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah. My name is Dr. Kojo. Until next time, peace. Take care.